check. Everything seems to sound okay. I hope they're in La La Land. Yeah. Looks like when I hit there, it'll showing me in yellow. So now let's go to this screen here so you can see how my camera is. And on the bottom left there for you guys is Adobe Audition, my left monitor. If I hit Shift Space, now I'm starting to record. And there we go. And I'm going to dial in because the stream just started and waiting for followers, fans, people who I've notified and shared the link with to get it, maybe tune in if need be. So to dial in, I'm going to just go to my go-to Enya watermark, or at least my take on Enya's watermark. Always good to dial in with Enya watermark. And I'm noticing major growly. I also have B flat marked. Yeah, B flat's off. And B. Yep, B is off. I also marked E flat. Yeah. And it's always like the lower register ones. It's because once you get up here, because these have 3 strings per note, these have 2 strings, and then I think some of those lower octaves just need to be tightened up a bit. But overall, all things considered, after this heat wave, today we are at 82 degrees, 38% humidity, so we're finally on that downward trend, but I think we're still in that like kind of like warmish season. So I watch this every single day. This is my little hygrometer that tells me the humidity and the temperature right here at the piano. And once that stabilizes for a few days, hopefully in like the upper 70s, then I can take everything off, open it, and fine-tune things. But for now, we let her be growly. And when it's growly, I always think about honky-tonky, jazzy, bluesy stuff. So I joined a Discord group, and one of the guys there, he was practicing Duke Ellington, Don't Get Around Much Anymore. And I was like, is that Mr. Saturday Night? And he goes, it's Duke Ellington, Don't Get Around Much Anymore. And I was like, we're thinking the same song. It's just, I forget that's the actual name of it, because it starts off, Mr. Saturday Night, do-do-do-do-do-do, don't get around much anymore. Like that song. That's Duke Ellington, great. I only know one Duke Ellington song. And that's In a Sentimental Mood. So I am feeling quite much in a sentimental mood. So to Mr. Tyrannical Keys of the Discord group for the piano learners, I am a self-taught piano player, and I've been playing piano for decades, okay? And I'm still learning things. I'm always learning things. And right now I'm playing things that are in my wheelhouse that I've played like the back of my hand now, that I can freestyle and do things with. But it takes time to get there. And it's very, like, a lot of people don't understand that when you're watching musicians play live, any musician in their craft, and you're like, wow, they are so good. That is like hours and hours and hours and a lifetime of just like persistence and practice and retention practice. Because when you learn a song, you learn a song, but can you retain it and still play it years later? Because there are songs that I'm going to admit, I tinkered out and made my own versions of a lot of songs, but a lot of stuff I don't practice regularly, so I can't play them the way I used to, and so I have to like relearn it and refigure it out and re-rendition it. And that's happened to me quite a few times over the years. And there's even songs on my YouTube channel that are posted that I probably, if you said, hey Matthew, play that song that's on YouTube, I'm like, I'm out of practice on that, It's like, you gotta give me some, time to wiggle out some jitters. But then there's also songs that just like you'll just never forget, like your own original compositions. Well, not exactly. Every time I make a composition, I always try and push myself so it's something that I can't even play, and I have to practice to be able to play what I hear in my head. And then when you get good at it, push it further. And then start taking away and subtracting. And then push it further again. So here we go. My take on Duke Ellington, In a Sentimental Mood. And thank you, Mr. Tyrannical Keys of the Discord group, for making that group and reminding us to practice. And even if those of you who are like seasoned veterans and you've played and you have a big repertoire, make sure you play those songs that you haven't played in a long time. And I'm talking to myself here. So after I play this Duke Ellington song, let's go play some songs that I haven't played in a while and like be really bad. Yes, let's do it. So that was my take on Duke Ellington, In a Sentimental Mood, another like just classic song that I do play a lot and I'm really comfortable with. So now we're gonna go on to the territory of stuff that I haven't played in a long time. I'm probably gonna just like screw up and just fart. Yeah. So let me just rack my brain here for a second and drink some water. What's something I haven't played in a very long time? Oh gosh. On my YouTube channel, I actually do a tribute to David Bowie, and I play a lot of Bowie songs back to back. And at that time, I was like way into it, and I was listening to a lot of Bowie to absorb it. And it's been a long time. Like I practice changes pretty often, but it's been a while since I've done the this is ground control to Major Tom, the Space Odyssey. So. And I played that at the Cancer Telethon. Yeah. And that experience after that, I kind of stopped playing it. But anyways, here we go. And I apologize if I fart and screw it up. So, oh yeah. Wait, no, it's E minor first. Sorry, I already screwed it. Jeez, okay. lost it. I'm trying to sing it in my head and follow along. I need to listen to it. Because I don't use sheet music. I go by ear and sound and memory. Oh my gosh, so it goes. This is ground control. Then the dot bridge part. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. And then just E minor. C. And then it goes to A minor ride. F major. G. It's the D. Freaking muscle memory. Interesting how that works. You start humming it and then you go back to when you were first figuring it out. That's always how it starts off, just like the generic chords. And that's the fun part, is like humming and like trying to figure out where you're at. Okay, so that part. It's been a while since I thought about that one. Gosh, that took a while to practice that. That was like practicing the super tramp there. That was a rough practice to learn that one. Listening to that over and over. What is that bass doing? And then your right hand has to do the chords. The C major seventh. That's that F dominant seventh. C dominant seventh. E flat seventh. C flat. And then C. And you gotta throw all that together. So really, when it comes down to it, a lot of stuff that you do as a musician, especially when you're playing like songs and working on your own cover arrangements and like tinkering around and just like playing around with ideas. You experiment, and sometimes you make a mistake and it sounds good, so you roll with it and start using that moving forward. And then other times you try and correct it. And at the end of the day, you basically just need to enjoy the process and understand that you're only ever in a moment, in a pocket, and you're either in it, and when you're in it, boy, it's great. But then when you start thinking too hard and really you kind of get out of it. You're trying to find this like spot, this hot spot of being is really what it comes down to. And some days it's easy to get there, some days it's hard. Other days it just never happens. And then some days, man, it's just all there. Like it's just really interesting how that works. So I've been recording for a while. Give me a second here to move over to the other screen so I can save this, close it, and restart a new file. So come over here, and if I hit Control-Shift-Down, there we go. So now we're in computer view. Oh, I got it. I did not even look over. Jeffrey Boyle, you're here. Hey-o. I don't know if you're still here, but always good to see a familiar name on the chat. So let me just save this 7. Oh no, we're in August now. 8, 1, 2, 2, 5, live, 1. And I don't need to mark anything. There's no improvs this time. This was just a bunch of practice. So I need to go into my production, recording sessions. And I need to start a new folder for 2025, 08 August. And, oh yeah, Jeffrey Boyle is still with us. So here we go with the August. Make a folder for today, 205, and now everything that I save will go into that folder moving forward as the default once this finishes saving, and then I can close this and start a new file and start playing and see what happens. And wow, my computer is really thinking hard there for a second. That was a long file and it's huge. And I'm probably just going to end up deleting all that because nothing was really spectacular. There we go, now we're recording. We can go back to the other view here. So as you can see on the title here, I am celebrating that I finally paid off my piano. It's a very interesting and convoluted story. It's just epic, and I know at the back of my hand I tell people my story all the time, but I forget not everybody knows my story and how I ended up here and doing what I'm doing at 43, almost 44 years old. Self-taught piano player, dreamed of literally this piano, a 6'1" Baumgartner. And now I finally got one. And I've been investing and fixing it up because it was used and sitting in a warehouse for a long time, and I got it for cheap. And like 3 or 4 visits with a piano technician to get everything up to snuff, and now she's like brand new. And then I just recently down-tuned her to 432 after everything was said and done because G was not happy at 440 or a 440 resonance. So. So 5 years ago, we were in the pandemic. And for me, work didn't change. Things didn't really change. Because at that time, I had 2 jobs. And they were both essential during that crisis. First was my main job, my full-time job, and lab technician in plant pathology and biology. And that was my day. And on evenings and weekends, part-time, I worked at the radio station, the AM station, KDHL, here in Faribault and Power 96. And I would read the obituaries in the news on the weekends and, run ads during like the sports shows and stuff like that. I was a sound technician. That was technically my job, a live sound technician. And over there, they use Adobe Audition, and that's kind of where I started like, oh, I should use Adobe Audition when I do all my stuff. So anyways, so I still had both of my jobs, And my whole life, I've always dreamed of a grand piano. I had my keyboard, not this one behind me. This one is the second keyboard that I got in like 2009. The first one I sold to somebody, and I upgraded to the Kawai ES6. And then I got my upright piano, which is over here. And I got that for $35 on auction a few years later in Wisconsin while living with my in-laws. And that came from my wife's school, and it was an old beat-up, school piano, but all 88s worked. And I had a piano tuner come out and tune it, and I got an apprenticeship with him that summer, and we fixed the piano upright from like we did everything. I learned everything about upright pianos, and I learned how to tune pianos with him, and I went to jobs with him and helped him restring pianos. And that one that we rebuilt, like we replated keys, we reshaped hammers, we replaced hammers, we fixed the pedals, we unstuck keys, we leveled all the keys. We even got we couldn't find a new felt, but it's supposed to have a felt because it was one of those kind of pianos. But I learned everything, and I did that so that way I can upkeep that upright piano. And so after everything was said and done with that upright piano, who I named Elle, because I got her in Ellsworth, Wisconsin, for $35 on auction, and just had her tuned. And they say it needs to be tuned, but that's always a lie. It needs to be regulated to some degree. But luckily, the school pianos, even the one sitting there collecting dust, they're maintained at the school, and they get tuned regularly and looked at. So that one's from like 1954. It's an old Story and Clark, very old, and it's already got like wear and tear in the soundboard. But she worked and she did good. And I adjusted the swing release using a flange screw, so that way the swing would release on the apex, and then where the keys make contact with the whipping and the action, there's what they call the capstan, and that's like that touching point to the hammer. And every 88 key has one of those touching points, and you have to like move it up and down, like millimeters at a time, like matters, to get them to feel marshmallowy, so that way they respond right. And so that's basically what I did for that one, because she was pretty much level. I just maintained the tuning after that. And that's been my piano for years. And I've always dreamed of a prom barger, because in the year 2000, when I graduated high school, my dad kicked me out. That's a whole other story of trauma and abuse that I had to survive, but I broke free from him when I was 18 in high school and left homeless halfway in my senior year. And I found my mom, and she was moving to Oregon, so I went with her that summer after I graduated to Oregon. And there was this piano store in downtown Portland, and at that time, the prom barger piano was on display. And so I just went in. I would do this all the time, because I never had to do a piano, and at that time I was saving up. I had a keyboard on layaway at a local music store, and like every paycheck I would go to that music store and give them money, ride the bus and give them money. And after a year, I finally got my keyboard. But to play on real pianos, I would always go to public pianos, and I would go to piano stores and like yetz around until they tell me to get out of here. But there was this one sale guy. He was really nice to me. He understood where I came from. So if like it was slow and there's nobody around and I walked by, he let me play on the pianos every now and then. And I was like, I've never heard of this prom barger piano. I love it. Tell me about this. So he told me all about prom barger. Joseph Prombarger. He designed and built pianos for prom barger for like a long time. And he had a falling out with Steinway. So he left, and he took all of his designs and went to Korea to Young Chang and taught them to build pianos the way he thought they should be built and put his name on it. And that's what this series comes from. It even says here, made by Young Chang under supervision with Joseph Prombarger. And it says Prombarger. After he died, they went back to saying Young Chang, and they just call it with Prombarger action. And this is the higher end series. This is the JP series. So this is a 6'1", like top of the line JP series Prombarger, but this is a floor model one. That's why it's black and red. Because at that time when they were sending out the pianos to the floor rooms, because this one, the model number is 020005. So this is the second series of the JPs, the fifth one off the lot of that run. And the floor models, because at that time people would order, because they would have you know, like 5 Promberger pianos of all the different models, and they'd be black. And only the key guard and the music stand would be whatever color finish. You know, you can get like the red, the cherry, the natural walnut, you know, straight up black. And it was just to kind of like show you what you're getting. People would order it and they would get it, and then these floor models just kind of like sat there and collected dust for years, and that's what this was. This is one of those floor models since like 2004 that sat and sat and sat. And I think I might have had 1 or 2 owners in the middle, but it was at this place in 2020 in Savage, Minnesota. I saw this ad. I wasn't looking at this one. I didn't even know this was there. I just figured, you know, maybe my dream of getting a grand piano is to do like I did with my upright and get an old beat up one and just learn how to fix it. Because I have to book and I don't know how, and I can teach myself to just fix one up. And there was one for $500, you know, and they would move it for real cheap. And I was like, I've got that right now, I can do that. And I convinced my wife, I said, let's go up to Savage and look at this piano, I want to see it. When we got there, this was there. And it was like marked at like 13 something. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's my dream piano, the Promberger, it's there. And I didn't touch it because I didn't want to like get my hopes up. I was just like, if I'm gonna pay $500 plus like, you know, however much it's gonna cost to move the piano, you know, from Savage to Wanamingo, which is not, you know, cheap. But they did it at that time for cheap because they were blowing out to get rid of stuff. I said, what if instead of buying that piano, I put it as a down payment towards my dream piano and get a payment that I can afford? So I told the guy, I was like, I'm gonna come back in a week and I'm gonna see what I can do before I decide what I wanna do. And I looked at the entire showroom and I had like, I picked out plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, because there was a Kanabe that was really nice. There were 2 Steinway O's that were very nice. And then there was a Hamilton. There were a lot of nice ones at different price ranges. And I was like, if I can't get into the Promberger at $200 a month with a down payment, then I'll look into the Kanabe. If I can't get into Kanabe, then I can, you know, I was like, I'm gonna get a grand piano. This is the opportunity. So I sold a bunch of stuff and I dug into my savings and we did it. We got the Promberger and they delivered it, and it needed work, you know, like it needed work. Because number one, the first guy who came out, he installed the piano saver underneath the piano, and the pedal had like a little squeak, so he oiled the O-ring, and then there was a ringing here, and we took care of that. And then I got another guy who could come out later, and the pins, because the action was very stiff, and he goes, when a piano sits for a long time, gravity pulls things down, and the hammer action is not exactly level. So he's like, so you're fighting really hard, you know, to do this. And mind you, I forgot to add that after I got the grand piano, I got into a car accident. I stopped at a red light. The distracted truck driver didn't realize the light changed. He hit me and threw me across the intersection, changed my life. They said I would never play piano the way I used to, because it was the pandemic. They couldn't deal with somebody with a car accident. So they just gave me a bunch of painkillers and said, good luck. And so I was crushed and suicidal and depressed because I got my dream grand piano, and then that happens. But I recovered. You know, the whole story's on, everybody's followed me on Patreon, because that recovery album from October, November of 2020 was me recovering from that car accident to get my feet to work again, both hands to work. And in like December, and like the next 2 or 3 years, it was really excruciating physical therapy to be able to get to play at full force again for extended periods of time. And 5 years later, I'm finally healed and I can play like I used to. In fact, even better now because I've gotten healthier. But at that time, I was in a lot of pain, recovering from the car accident, fighting an old piano that needed to be cleaned. So he cleaned it off to get rid of all the dust, to get rid of friction, and he raised the action, and then he lubricated the pins, and he said, you know, just like a car, if it doesn't move, it stiffens up and locks up. So this piano has been sitting in a warehouse for years and years and years, not being played. The action pulled back and has, you know, stiffened up and really locked up. He goes, I loosened them, but you need to get those hammers repinned. That's not a pretty thing to get all 88 hammers repinned. But he came out again, you know, a year later and re-lubricated them and said again, You really need to get those hammers repinned. I finally got the hammers repinned. It was another like almost $1,000 investment to get all 88 repinned. And that was this past May, April. And now I paid her off. And now she's like brand new. And I'm healed and I'm like brand new. And here we are now. Got my dream prom burger piano. We both healed together over these past 5 years. I found you and you were all old and beat up, and I was old and beat up. You went with me through the cancer. No, the cancer happened the year before the grand piano. You were there for the recovery of it and the follow-ups. Oh, me and this piano. I really want to tune you again. There. That one. D. Did I mark D? C, B flat, B, E flat. I need to mark D. D needs to be checked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major growlies since the last time we did this. For those of you who don't know, I've got music dice here with notes, and my friend Clayton gave them to me before he went to Puerto Rico, and I used them to mark my growlies, so that way when it comes time to tune, I know which ones to look at first and fix, because sometimes you can't do them all. But you can do a few. Sorry, I talked and rambled there for a moment, but whatever. I'm reminiscing and walking down Maryland Lane, 5 years of making payments and healing and recovering mind, body, and spirit to birth what is now the daily piano on Patreon for mind, body, and spirit, now in true A432 tuning. And the next step, because this is the first quarter moon in Scorpio, and my next intention, at work and what we're doing at the lab, I want all that to succeed. But I also want to put the intention for getting ready to tune my upright piano to G396, which is A444, which also puts C at 528. If you know, you know. Those are solfeggio tones, by the way. Just like 432 is a solfeggio tone. That was a good improv. I'm going to have to save that really quick. Give me a second here. I am so sorry. I'm stepping away. And then I am hitting this so that way you can see what I'm looking at. So this here is nice. We both heal. I'm going to hit Control Shift S. We're going to call this. Oh, I'm still 8 on to it. I keep writing 7. Live improv at N. Good. So I know that that's the one that I can use for tomorrow's daily piano on Patreon. After I'm done with this session here, I'll process this audio and schedule the MP3. So nice, we got something. Otherwise, I was going to go into some old recordings in what I call limbo and process something I haven't processed yet. All right, so now we are back. So, okay, we're back. Always be recording whenever you're doing these practice sessions, because we live in a modern world now with technology where we're not confined by the ribbon anymore that's only got like 30 minutes of tape, 60 minutes of tape. You can just hit record on your computer and let it go. And if it's not good, delete it, start again. But always be recording your sessions, you guys, so when something happens, you have it and you can use it. Now comes the part where I need to say, I am very sorry in advance because I'm going to sing some sing songs, and I know I sing these songs a lot, but I sing them a lot for a reason, because music is basically magic, and songs are spells, and I like to sing these songs to cast a spell on myself. So, Jeffrey Boyle, if you're still with us, you are familiar, you hear me sing this all the time. I sound like a broken record, but every time it's a little different. So here we go, today's version of these same 3 songs, maybe some other ones. We'll see how we're feeling this Friday evening. All right, Will Wood and the Tapeworm Self, or at least my take on it. And if you do like this, I do have a tutorial on how to play this on my channel, how to play Self by Will Wood and the Tapeworms. Sort of, because again, I play by ear, and I don't do things verbatim, note for note. There's no sheet music for what I do, and even in the moment, I'm just making things up on the fly, just to experiment and do things. So, but generically, you just have to know chords and melody, and you can pretty much play anything. Shake the apples from my family tree. So when the autumn comes to take the leaves, we'll write history books from memories that we shared and we'd forget. Well, I don't remember 2012, but I heard the world would turn to hell. And compared to that, well, I'm Well, they always ask you not to leave, and I am as they remember me. So when all my friends forget my name, no, I won't come back and be the same. No, I won't come back and be the same. Well, they always ask you not to leave, and I am as they remember me. So when all my friends forget my name, no, I won't come back and be the same. No, I won't come back and be the same. And I'm gonna be myself again. I heard there was a sacred chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, and the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
so strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you into a kitchen chair and she broke your throat. She cut your hair and from your lips she drew the hallelujah. 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 And maybe I've been here before. I know this room, I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. And love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 And there was a time you'd let me know what's real and going on below. But now you never show it to me, do you? Remember when I moved in you and the holy dark was moving too, and every breath we drew was hallelujah. 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 And maybe there's a God above, but all I ever learned from love was how to shoot at someone who outdrew me. It's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Never seen a bluer sky. Yes, I can feel it reaching out and moving closer. There's something about blue. I asked myself what it's all for. You know the funny thing about it, I couldn't answer. No, I couldn't answer. Things have turned a deeper shade of blue, and images that might be real, maybe illusion, kept flashing off and on. I wanna be free to move amongst the stars. You know they really aren't so far. I feel so free. I wanna know free. Please don't wake me from the dream. It's really everything it seems. I am so free. There's no black and white in the blue. Everything is clear now. Life is just a dream, you know. It's never ending. I'm ascending.
Last time, or was it the time before last, we were working on the Goddess song from Oh My Goddess, and we played it in many different keys and found that E flat was the right key for me, not G. So we started on G. Decided it was this is the part where I got iffy. I'm pretty sure it goes F to F minor. It was a dual B flat to B flat minor. And that's just based off of just singing, you know, like. That's how it goes. That's that weird key change. And then based on that, we figured E flat to an A flat to E flat. Then repeat. To B flat, then C minor, walk to A flat, then B flat, then E flat. At least in the key that I can sing it, because I think it's actually supposed to be like. It's like it's really high. Speaking of music dice, let's roll a dice. A flat, G sharp. Oh gosh. Really? And then we'll roll another one. B. That's a weird. Well, that was fun. Rolling some dice and playing with A flat B. Interesting. We'll call that a night.